4 years earlier, in a small New Hampshire town, an elegant airplane glides through the sky, signaling Humbert's arrival in America. Looking for a place to spend his summer, he chose a quaint town, Ramsdale, and after a taxi ride, he lands in front of a large, imposing house. Inside, a slightly frantic Charlotte is initially cold and distant, but makes a great effort to be warm. While the house's charms are discussed and the details arranged, Humbert mentions his fondness for culture and history. Dolores, Charlotte's daughter, makes a brief appearance while they are discussing terms. Charlotte lets Humbert know how much money for the summer and then leads Humbert on a tour of the grounds. Later that night at a high school dance, Charlotte introduces Humbert to some of the other couples from the neighborhood as their friend from the Old World, France, and they were having a wonderful time. But as Humbert watched Lola, the evening turned into something much less jovial. The next morning, Dolores brings Humbert breakfast in his room, a stark reminder of his arranged living situation. He casually asks what she's writing, to which she responds, "A poem." With the faintest hint of jealousy, she asks what it's about. Humbert deflects, saying only, "It's about people." Lola notes that his notebook looks like a diary and wonders if he's afraid of being caught. Lola then challenges Humbert to read his poem, which he obliges, albeit reluctantly. Lola is unmoved and calls it a little corny, which seems to affect him. She changes the subject and asks about Mona Farlow as a point to press him to be a blabbermouth. Humbert's defensiveness piques Lola's suspicion. She then gives Humbert the go-ahead to ask a servant for help around the house. As Humbert relaxes back into his bed after breakfast, a messenger arrives to deliver a letter to Humbert. As Humbert is reading, Charlotte bursts in, flustered, to announce that Mona Farlow's sister wants her at Camp Q. Mrs. Hayes is gone at the crack of dawn, eager to get Dolores packed for Camp Climax. Dolores is excited, though distant with her mother. Humboldt is thrilled for the day's events. Later that day, in the hallway, the housekeeper offers a knowing look as Humbert confirms he is home for some much-needed rest. Humbert returns to his room to continue writing, musing. You can always count on a murderer for a fancy prose style. He reminisces with anticipation about his time alone and the impending meeting with her. Dolores seems unconvinced. He helps her with her bags and asks if this is it, with a hint of concern. Lola replies that yes, it is. Humbert quickly interjects by stating, "I'm quite sure they'll manage to find a cot for us. I asked them downstairs in the lobby to find a cot." Lola laughs at this idea and tells Humbert that he's crazy. Humbert presses and says, "Why, my darling?" Lola responds by saying, "Because, my darling, when my darling mother finds out, she's going to divorce you and strangle me." Humbert claims that while her mother is ill, that he is responsible for her welfare. "We are not rich while we travel. We should be obliged. We shall be thrown a good deal together, and two people sharing one room inevitably enter into a kind of, how shall I say, kind of, through." Lola, cutting him off, says, "Why don't you go down and see about the cot?" Humbert leaves to check on it and is met with a state police convention banner. Humboldt asks the clerk about a message, and the clerk replies, "I'm sorry, sir, nothing yet, but we're working on that cot." After receiving the bad news about a message, Humboldt leaves the lobby and looks at his watch. At night, on the porch, Humbert sits on a chair checking the time again as a car pulls up with a local police officer. The local officer asks, "How you dressing, sir?" Humbert says, "I thought perhaps there was someone with you." "Great." The police responds, "I'm not really with someone, I am with you." Humboldt is confused and the officer says, "I didn't mean it as an insult, but what I really meant was that I'm with the state police here, and when I'm with them, I'm with someone. But right now, I am on my own. I mean, I know it. A lot of people, just you." Humboldt responds, "Well, I wouldn't want to disturb you. I'll leave you alone if you preferred." Humboldt says, "No, you don't really have to go at all. I like it. I don't know what it is. I sort of get the impression that you want to leave. You don't like to leave because maybe you think, I think it looks suspicious, me being a policeman and everything." The state policeman exclaims, "You don't think you have to think that, because I haven't really got a suspicious mind at all. I look suspicious myself. Some people think I'm suspicious, especially when I stand around on street corners. One of our own boys picked me up the other week. He thought I looked a bit too suspicious." standing on the street corner and everything, truth. Humboldt attempts to change the subject and asks if has gotten a pretty daughter with a normal face. The police officer obliges with that. He wants to be sure Humboldt is safe, but Lolita will not have it and asks him, "What are you implying?" The officer leaves, and Humboldt returns to the room to find Lolita awake. Now that she is awake, she asks Humboldt to promise he will never send her away. Humboldt, agreeing, crosses his heart. Lolita says she's been asked to play the lead in the school play, The Haunted Enchanters, and will need Humboldt to get her a permission slip. Suddenly, Humbert, having had enough, snaps and tells Dolores that they are leaving immediately because she can't see any of those boys. Lola calls him a jerk and runs around to the bedroom with Humbert following. The final scene shows a car pulling up to the hotel at night as a title card reads, Beardsley High Thesps. The Haunted Enchanters starts at 8,030 sharp. We see Charlotte's face superimposed over this image. Humbert, having had enough, tells Dolores that they are leaving immediately because she can't see any of those boys. Lola calls him a jerk and runs around to the bedroom with Humbert following. Humboldt returns to the room to find Lolita awake. Now that she is awake, she asks Humboldt to promise he will never send her away. Humboldt, agreeing, crosses his heart. The scene then switches to one that shows Humboldt and Lolita sitting on the sofa. Humboldt exclaims and tells Lolita to stop her silly talk before getting up off the couch and grabbing her arm as he continues to state that she has to swear it isn't true. Lolita refuses and claims he will never believe her anyway. Humboldt relents and states that he does believe her this time. Humbert, looking regretfully at Lolita, notes that it is partly my fault and that it's because of this horrible place. Humboldt notes that he never sees her because of her soda fountains and her extra duties. Angered, Humboldt tells Lolita to stop doing that, and then the scene changes again. Humboldt begins to plead with Dolores about their location, stating that they should leave here and go somewhere wonderful. Lolita refuses and tells Humboldt that he has to work. Humboldt states that his job means nothing and that he could always publish some books. Humboldt exclaims that they are leaving tonight and he could take her for a trip across country. "You can't leave here?" Lolita remarks. "Why not?" Humboldt replies. "Well, you've got to work. What about your job?" Lolita interjects. "My job? That means nothing," he remarks, and then the scene ends. We are then met with a montage of sorts, images that show Charlotte, Humboldt's ex-wife. In the current scene, Humboldt is at a telephone booth talking to his ex-wife. At night, we see his vehicle driving to a hotel where he gets out and walks into one of the rooms. "If you swear to me that this isn't true, I promise that I will believe you," Humboldt begs. Lolita refuses. He tells her that he will forget the entire thing and never cross-question her on it. In an outburst, Lolita screams, "No!" which leads to her hitting Humboldt. Humboldt is taken away by hospital employees. Charlotte arrives, and then Humboldt is seen typewriting a letter. The typewritten message that he is writing reads, "Dear Dad, how's everything? I have gone through much sadness and hardship. I'm married. I'm going to have a baby. I'm going nuts because we don't have enough to pay our debts and get out of here. Please send us a check." Then, at the side, in bold letters, "The End" appears. A white vehicle then pulls up to a small home. Now that she is awakened, she asks Humboldt to promise he will never send her away. Humboldt, agreeing, crosses his heart. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay awesome, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more amazing content.